Good afternoon and welcome to today's ceremony, and thank you for attending. I cannot tell you how honored I am to stand with you in recognition and honor of all of those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to this nation. I would also like to take just a moment to recognize all of those among us who have served or are currently serving, as well as those who have lost loved ones in service. But we must remember the true purpose of Memorial Day is to commemorate those who gave their lives in service for our country. We are humbled by their sacrifices as we know they are great, and we commend the demonstrations of courage and strength they have shown throughout most difficult times. But what does Memorial Day really mean? To some, it marks the beginning of summer, a holiday filled with backyard barbecues, friends and family, parades, and fun activities like the things we have here today at the Robert E. Henry Memorial Park. For many of my students, it's a time where they hope they still have leftover snow days so they can extend their vacations. Even though during the winter, I often hear, "Dr. McDonald, you should have called a snow day today." For me, on Monday, I will be piloting the Minnehaha as the Lake George Steamboat Company officially opens its summer season. But that is not the purpose, and that is not why we are here. Since its first observation on May 5th, 1868, when it was called Declaration Day, it has been a day of remembrance for those who have sacrificed and died for our nation's service. In 1968, the observation of this day was established to be the last Monday in May. Today, it remains a time of observation to honor and respect those who fought to protect the liberties our founding fathers proclaimed in certainty through the Declaration of Independence and were thoughtfully and carefully framed in the Constitution of the United States. In his proclamation, General Order Number 11, Major John A. Logan instructed there be thoughts to, and I quote, "to cherish tenderly the memories of our heroic dead, who made their breast the barricade between our country and its foes." The order also expressed the hope that the observance would be, and I quote again, "kept up from year to year while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his fallen comrades." The freedoms that were defined in the Declaration of Independence were made possible by those who were willing to lay down their lives for the pursuit of freedom and the belief that the liberty was the right of all men. Many times since then, our freedom has been guaranteed by the resolve of the armed forces, who have refused to turn from the foes of liberty that would set themselves against our nation, our allies, and the foundation of principles in which our nation stands. I have always had the utmost respect for those who have served in the military, but I have a deeper appreciation for our nation's veterans, especially those living in our communities, because of a couple of events in my life. In 1984, I met a young man from Baltimore named Chris Coffland. Chris was an extraordinary person, a true Renaissance man in the modern era. He was a great athlete who captained the football and lacrosse teams at Washington and Lee University. And even though he stood 5'8" and weighed only 160 pounds soaking wet, he had the heart of a lion, and he would take down players twice his size. He was extremely tough, and he always wanted to prove it. He once asked our equipment manager which piece of equipment was not required for safety in football. He got his answer, and the next day he came to football practice barefoot. He loved art and was a talented artist. He studied sociology and anthropology, both as an undergraduate and in a doctoral program at Washington State University. He played and coached professional football and lacrosse in Europe and Australia. He spent 2 years in Africa as part of his studies, living with the pygmies and hunting crocodiles with them by night. He worked as a bartender, construction worker, salesman, and teacher. He was a definition of a free spirit. And if you had to sum up his life, as one of his best friends said, you would say he lived a rock star's life on a roadie's salary. He was always in great shape and constantly working out. His favorite saying before going to the gym was, "I'm going to catch a lift." 2 months before his 42nd birthday, he enlisted in the Army Reserves. 42 is the cutoff age for enlisting, and Chris had always thought about the military, but never followed through, even though at one point he had an appointment to West Point. He could have been an officer, but I think he chose the enlisted route because of his blue-collar family background. His younger comrades, half his age, called him old man at first, but when he broke the company sit-up and push-up records during basic training, they changed their tune. They loved him and respected him. Before he was deployed, some of his friends asked him, "Chris, why are you doing this?" And without batting an eye, he said, "Guys, I don't have a family. I am doing this so that someone who has one won't have to go." On November 14th, 2009, all of his friends received this message. Army Corporal Christopher J. Coffland died November 13th, 2009 in Syed Abad District, Wardak Province, Afghanistan, while serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He succumbed to wounds sustained when enemy forces attacked his unit with improvised explosives. 2 other service members were killed also. Chris was a 43-year-old Army reservist assigned to the 323rd Military Intelligence Battalion at Fort Meade, Maryland. He was killed 2.5 weeks after arriving in Afghanistan. To honor his memory, Chris's family set up a foundation based on his favorite saying, "Catch a lift." The Catch a Lift Fund enables post-9/11 combat wounded veterans all over the United States to recover and rehabilitate both physically and mentally through physical fitness, motivation, and support. Since its founding in 2010, the Catch a Lift Fund has helped over 3,000 post-9/11 combat wounded veterans regain their mental and physical health through gym memberships, in-home gym equipment, personalized fitness and nutrition programs, and a peer support network. Catch a Lift vets are seeing and feeling the results, including dramatic weight loss, reduction in medications, improved sleeping patterns, and strengthened relationships with family and friends thanks to their healthier lifestyles. This November marks the 10th anniversary of the death of my teammate, roommate, and friend, Christopher Coffland, serving our country and enduring freedom. His words still haunt me. "I'm going to go so someone else will not have to." And this captures the essence of why we are here today. More recently, our school has hosted honor flight veterans who have come to talk about their experiences while serving their country. First, the students are shown a movie about the history and creation of the honor flight program. And then they interact with our veterans, asking questions, hearing stories, and showing their respect for these heroes. You can hear a pin drop as the veterans respond to the students' questions. At the end of the program, the entire student body lines up to shake the hand of each veteran. It is an unbelievable moving experience watching the students as they move through the line. Most are in tears and giving hugs rather than handshakes. I have had the great fortune recently to accompany my father and Mr. Art Hatfield on an honor flight. And if you ever have the opportunity to do so, jump at it. You will never forget it. Every veteran is treated with the honor and respect they deserve or that they never got when they finished their tour of duty. You'll become emotional as you move through the airport, and people in the terminal will come out of shops and restaurants and stop and stand and clap for these well-deserving men and women. What was revealing to me is that the respect each veteran has for one another, no matter what job they did in the military. I learned something that I had never thought of before. For every soldier who serves in combat, there are 12 that are needed in the rear to support them. Within this brother and sisterhood, there is no hierarchy. It does not matter what role you played, the respect and camaraderie are the same. As the day continued, we visited the World War II, Korean, and Vietnam memorials, and we were mesmerized and entranced as we watched the changing of the guard of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. You cannot help but think about those who are honored by these monuments, including my friend Chris, whose grave is just a short distance from the tomb. Of the 1 million+ men and women who have died in American military service, the vast majority are everyday heroes. They are brothers and sisters who fought alongside each other and who have left unfillable holes in families, communities, and hearts across this country. Their friendships, their bravery, and their commitment to duty will never be lost. General George S. Patton once said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God such men lived." The former commander of the 3rd Army challenges us to commemorate the actions of the fallen men and women and be thankful they had the courage to serve, knowing the potential consequences. There is no more relevant time to embrace this quote than Memorial Day, and I am thankful for my friend Chris. As I close, I'd like to ask that as you leave here and go about the rest of your day, keep the fallen in your mind and their families and friends in your hearts. For it's their immense collective sacrifices that have helped keep our country safe. And as long as we continue to honor them with our actions and remember their sacrifices, they will never be forgotten. Thank you, and God bless America.